Alright, so you ready to do your very first live, well, not live, but your Decktech Relic?
Yeah, go for it. Hopefully the screen sharing works because I sent you the list, but we're doing this instead, so let's
Yeah, I
have at it.
figured give our viewers something interesting. So,
Oh, I don't know, it'll be interesting. It's pretty much your typical Meren deck, value creatures and whatnot, but mine's very different from yours. So you got your land, sweet. I put all the fetches right here. Hopefully you can see the mouse.
yeah, they can see
Phyrexian
the mouse on
Tower.
there.
Phyrexian Tower, very key card to have. There's other sack lands where you can sack creatures. I just chose Phyrexian Tower over those because of the value. And then you got your staple Mana Crypt, Soul Ring, Mana Vault, and then Signet for your artifact ramp.
And
And then
that's
this whole,
done because everybody likes fast mana online.
yeah, I tend to like it. It tends to help the deck function. And then this column right here is creatures, but they all produce mana. Solemn Silmarillion can draw cards. Yavimaya can draw cards. Everything else is for fast mana. And Devoted Druid can add mana and kill itself, which is very valuable. Then we just have your suite of regular creatures, and this guy tends to be an all-star. It will irritate people like crazy.
Yeah, that's one
It's
of the cards you run that I don't have in my list at the moment.
Yeah, good old Spore Frog. You sack it, and then you get it back at the end of the turn, and Caustic Caterpillar, Artifact Enchantment Removal,
Yeah, that
which
seems
sacks
to be a
itself.
staple that people are running in Meren.
Fauna Shaman for searching, Visionary for drawing the card. And I like Liliana, but that's kind of a pet card of mine. If you had Buku Bucks, you could replace this Liliana with the Liliana Planeswalker.
Like the one that I run in my list.
Yep. Rex Sage, another good card. Ewit, staple. Agent of Erebos, it's in there because I'm seeing a lot of graveyard decks, and that's good tech against them.
Yeah, that's one of my pet cards right there. I've liked it since I made that Carador Enchantress build.
And this is a recent addition. I was piddling around with it, and I realized lots of creatures die, so why not run it?
Yeah, I've liked Kalidas and some of the ones that I've run. Like, if people are forced to Wrath and they have at least one creature out, it'll leave you left with a token on the board that you can attach something to and just do some work with.
And then we got Creekwood Liege, pumps up your guys, pops out a token. It can be replaced. I mean, I just happen to like it. I'd probably replace it with another sack outlet, like one of the altars. Then Grave Merchant, because that's a lot of value, and it saved me and won me several games. Acidic Slime, Cocoa Puffs, kind of another Grave Merchant.
Yeah, you gotta
Green
have your
Scar,
win cons.
yeah. Tutor on a stick and a flying 6/6, nothing to sneeze at. You got Shieldred, sack, get a creature back, no real downside. T-Don, Woodfall Primus, other value. Then I'm only running 3 walkers. Evil Soren comes in and he comes out, just depending on my mood. But Vraska, Obnixilis, removal. Obnixilis card advantage. Freyalise, artifact enchantment removal, and can help out ramp. Then Survival, another tutoring. Sylvan Library should be in any green deck. Skull Clamp, kind of a pet card of mine, but I have things that produce tokens, so that can draw me cards. Lightning Greaves, and Mimic Vat. That's proven pretty useful in some matchups because you're killing things and you can always imprint. But that's another card that can come or go. Person Grip, Phyrexian Arena. And then this column here is kind of the removal. I tend to run No Mercy a lot. Comes in handy. Shriek Maw, Bone Shredder. Both pretty good except when you're facing another black deck. And then you've got Hero's Downfall, deal with Planeswalker Putrefy, Maelstrom Pulse, and then you've got Living Death, which is really good if you fill up your graveyards, start sacking off all your creatures, then board wipe, then you get them all back. This is the Edict column. Grave Pact, Dictate of Erebos, Merciless Executioner, Flesh Bag, and Slum Reaper. Because, you know me, if I'm going to build a Meren, it's going to be full of Edict effects. And then over here is kind of your sacrifice stack. Because you've got Awakening Zone and From Beyond. They both produce tokens, but you can sack them for mana ramp. So they help trigger Grave Pact and Dictate, they trigger Meren, and they give you ramp. Disciple of Bolus, gain life, draw cards, plus you're sacking. Sidisi, it's another tutor, but it also lets you sacrifice something. Spawning Pit was a fairly recent add, and I like it because it costs you nothing to sacrifice a creature. Again, this could be replaced with an altar. Attrition, kind of removal. Helm of Possession, pretty fun card. Then you can sack any of your creatures, trigger your edicts, and steal whatever fatty they have. Birthing Pod should be an anything. I mean, you could probably readjust the deck because I'm lacking at like 6 and 5 drops. Evolutionary Leap, another sacrifice, and then it puts another creature in your hand. Viscera Seer, free sack outlet and scry. And Vampiric Rites I've liked because you can gain life, sack a creature, draw a card.
Yeah, that helped you crawl out of that last game that we played.
Yeah, so there's a few that you could always replace, but you know, like I said, you've got Mimic Vat, you know, Skull Clamp, even Greaves. So I mean, but this more or less close to a staple deck, I would assume. But I don't run the tutor as you tend to run a lot of the tutor package. You can run Necrotic Ooze combo, which I believe you still have in your deck, correct?
I haven't played Meren in quite a bit. I think I did some changes. I don't remember if it's on there because online there is no shortcutting, and you can mess it up sometimes if you don't have the right amount of creatures in your graveyard. Meren will mess it up and either return a key piece to your hand when you don't need it to.
Right, and I mean, if you go the tutor route, you could end up. I already have the. You could run the other Helm and Leyline of the Void combo if you want to go that route, so you could turn it into a combo deck. And black has tutors and black has combos, so.
So what
Mine
about
right
your
now
lands? You're not running Bazaar Baghdad. Is that just because you don't want to buy one, or you just haven't
No,
felt like
I
it's
have
good?
one. I have one, but I kind of like having cards in my hand. You have to pitch quite a few for it.
Yeah.
I mean, it works great with Living Death. I mean, and it's a good card. I just choose not to run it, but I do own one. I run that in my Carador deck. And then Cabal Coffers. We've all seen that, how that works out with Urborg.
Yeah, when somebody just automatically is like, oh, I've got to make their land drop. I'll just put this Urborg out of my hand.
And that pretty much wraps this up. I mean, there's some cards that you can swap out, and you could try adding like a tutor package. I mean, it's pretty much up to you what you want to do with it. And this seems to work out well, and I run 36 land, but I also run a suite of creature ramp and some mana facts, so.
Now, for the people who don't want to spend the money on, like, well, Strip Mine is pretty cheap, and Wasteland, well, Wasteland is not that cheap. But
No,
what
it's
would
not
you
cheap.
play instead of, like, Strip Mine and Wasteland if people don't want to put those in there? Just another forest or plains, or...
Another basic land would be fine. I mean, you don't have to run fetches. You could run, yeah, more basics. But I think spending money on a good mana base is key to any deck that's not monocolored, because you need. Let's see, what did I add in this? Like, I think Tainted Wood is pretty cheap,
Yep.
and that basically is a dual land. And you've got cards like Woodland Cemetery, and then Twilight Mire. I don't recall what that was, but this is the expedition version, but I found it can be pretty helpful.
Okay, so is there anything that you would change in the deck besides the Liliana, or
I'm pretty happy with it, but I keep rotating out about 2 or 3 cards. And like I said, I'm thinking the altars might be pretty good for more sacrificing. Like you could always take out the vampiric rites, but I like it because you can gain life and draw. Um, Instead of attrition is really good. It's like a removal. You could also run the one that makes you pay mana, sack a creature, and make an opponent discard 2 cards. I forget what it's called off the top of my head, but that's something else you could try. But again, I've been running into a lot of graveyard decks, so that's why I'm not running it. You don't want to discard and then help them.
yeah, that's along the lines of one of the cards that hurt me when I was playing the Malakir against you in the last game, the one that just let you discard cards to lower its power down, the Una's Prowler, I believe.
Yeah.
That's happened to me in a couple of games.
And some people will run like Sensei's Divining Top or Scroll Rack to help set up your deck a little bit more, but I don't run them, but that's another option.
I could see senseis in the deck, but I don't feel that a scroll rack would have a place in here.
But there she is.
Let's see. Maelstrom Pulse is black and green, isn't it? I was just thinking.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, there it is.
Yep, it and Putrefier in here. I've had Abrupt Decay in, but I've found that the times when I have it in hand, it just is not hitting the target that I want.
Yeah, if it was more of a this is where you would normally throw in your rant about French, but I hope you don't. But it's more of one of the French style cards for a French list.
Yeah, I mean it's a good card. Let's see. Ah, yes. Here's another card that you could run, like in your removal suite. The Ruinous Path, pretty much like a slower hero's downfall, but the key is that it can hit a planeswalker.
Yeah.
And I think that's about it.
Up there.
So hopefully that gives people a basic start point and things can be switched out.
Yep. Well, we'll stop this, and if people like this one, probably be more deck text to come. Alright.